Welcome, dear friends, to Scriptural Whispers, a place for peace, reflection, and timeless wisdom. Thank you for subscribing and joining our journey. May these whispers guide and inspire you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the epic story of Joseph from Genesis 37 to 50. A roller coaster of trials and triumphs that takes him from a pit to a palace. Ready? Let's go! Joseph was a 17-year-old dreamer, favored by his father Jacob, who gave him a stunning, multicolored coat. But this made his 11 brothers jealous. They hated him even more when he shared dreams about ruling over them. One day, out in the fields, his brothers had enough. They stripped his coat, threw him into a dry pit, and sold him to slave traders for 20 pieces of silver. Brutal, right? Joseph ended up in Egypt, sold to Potiphar, a high-ranking official. Despite being a slave, Joseph's faith in God shone through. He worked hard, and Potiphar put him in charge of his household. But trouble followed. Potiphar's wife tried to seduce Joseph, and when he refused, she falsely accused him. Boom! Joseph's thrown into prison. Talk about a low point. In prison, Joseph didn't give up. God gave him the ability to interpret dreams. He correctly explained the dreams of two fellow prisoners, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker. Years later, when Pharaoh had troubling dreams about 7 fat cows eaten by 7 skinny ones, the cupbearer remembered Joseph. Summoned from prison, Joseph interpreted the dreams. 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine. Impressed, Pharaoh made Joseph second in command over all Egypt at just 30 years old. Joseph's wisdom saved Egypt from starvation, storing grain during the good years. When famine hit, his brothers came to Egypt begging for food, not knowing Joseph was the governor. Instead of revenge, Joseph tested them to see if they'd changed. When they proved loyal to their youngest brother Benjamin, Joseph revealed his identity in a tearful reunion. He forgave them, saying, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Joseph brought his whole family to Egypt, reuniting with Jacob and setting them up in Goshen. He ruled wisely, saving countless lives. From a pit to a palace, Joseph's faith, resilience, and forgiveness turned betrayal into blessing. That's Joseph's incredible journey. It shows how God can turn our darkest moments into something beautiful. Life throws curveballs, doesn't it? We all face moments that test our limits. Think about Joseph. Betrayed by his own, sold into slavery, wrongly imprisoned, his life was a masterclass in hardship. Yet, he didn't collapse. Why? Because his faith, his God-given dreams, ignited a fire of perseverance within him. He held onto a vision greater than his present pain. In our world today, we face different battles. Maybe it's relentless pressure at work, crippling debt, or crushing personal loss. But like Joseph, we are called to stand firm. Perseverance isn't just toughing it out, it's trusting God's presence through the storm. It's showing up, even when faith is hard. What vision, grounded in Christ, compels you forward? And what about the deepest wounds? Joseph's brothers deserved retribution, didn't they? They abandoned him. Yet, when faced with them again, powerful in Egypt, he chose a path radically opposite to retaliation. He chose forgiveness. He didn't just forgive, he provided for those who wronged him. In a culture quick to cancel and slow to forget, holding grudges feels natural. But Christ calls us higher. Forgiveness isn't about condoning sin. It's about releasing yourself from the chains of bitterness and choosing grace, reflecting the forgiveness we've received. Is there someone you need to release today? Joseph's life proves that true strength lies not in vengeance, but in the divine power to forgive. Perhaps the hardest truth. God's purpose is often forged in our pain. Joseph's suffering wasn't random cruelty. It was the furnace that refined him, positioning him precisely to save his family and nations from famine. Our own hardships, a job loss that feels unfair, a health crisis that shakes our foundation, can feel utterly senseless. But God is always working, even when we can't see it. These trials build resilience, cultivate empathy, and prepare us for future roles we can't yet imagine. In a world demanding instant success, Joseph reminds us to surrender control and trust the master weaver, believing he is orchestrating even the painful threads for his glorious purpose. So, how do we live this out? Through God's strength, keep pushing through your personal Gethsemanes. Choose the countercultural freedom of forgiveness over the heavy burden of resentment. And anchor your hope in the absolute certainty that God is weaving all things, even your deepest struggles, into a beautiful, redemptive tapestry for His glory and your good. Let Joseph's story inspire you to walk in Christ's power, resilient, forgiving, and full of unwavering hope.
We hope today's story offered you a moment of reflection and hope. The wisdom found in these revered texts continues to inspire us. If this message resonated with you, hit like to share the light, send it to someone who needs hope, and subscribe for future Bible tales and insights. Join us in exploring the good book.